Welcome to episode 20, the series finale of season 1 of Uncovering the Corners of the World podcast. I'm your host, Karina Kasmala. Each week, using research and in some cases using personal experiences where I actually traveled to these locations, I'll be explaining some of the hidden gems in the US and around the world. In the spirit of October and Halloween, being a few weeks away, this week's episode is specifically haunted, or at least we are exploring the haunted parts of the Cowboy State. The Cowboy State is the nickname of Wyoming, and it is located in the western part of the United States. Wyoming borders Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, Utah, and Colorado. It is the 44th state, becoming a state on July 10th, 1890. The name Wyoming means at the Big Plain, since it is considered to come from the Lenape Indian word Mechewamiying, according to the State Symbols USA website. What makes Wyoming partly haunted, or at least have a lot of ghost towns, is because it is the least populous state in the country. According to the World Population Review website, Wyoming is listed as number 1 as the least populated state with 572,381 people living there. Our first attraction takes us to the Shoshone National Forest by the Absaroka Mountains in Wyoming to visit the ghost town of Kirwin. Kirwin was founded in the 1800s by William Kirwin and Harry Adams, and the reason it was founded was because of the silver and gold that could be mined in the Spar Mountain. With the discovery of the gold and silver, the Wood River Mining District was created in 1891, according to the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service website, the USDA website. Inside the town, there were 2 general stores, a sawmill, an assay shop, which is a building that examined metals, a hotel, a boarding house, a post office, a headquarters building, meat storage sheds, stables, and cabins for the 200 miners living there with their families. In 1907, the town was covered by an avalanche that killed 3 people while also destroying the buildings. It was then that the rest of the residents of Kirwin decided to leave the town. Today, the website Cody Wyoming Adventures offers tours of the ghost town from June to August. If we go 34 miles away from Kirwin, we will reach the town Meeteetse, a town that isn't a ghost town. In Meeteetse, Amelia Earhart, the first woman that flew solo across the Atlantic Ocean, decided to build a cabin with the help of her friend, Carl Dunrud, in 1936. This was around the same time that the town of Kirwin was abandoned, and Carl Dunrud was planning to buy what was left of the Kirwin area. And he built a ranch called the Double Diamond X Ranch that was 9 miles down the river, according to the Meeteetse Museum website. In the 1940s, in the Kirwin area, a man named Charlie Wolf built a wolf mine shaft house after getting a patent to do so. Then Dunrud sold the land to Duke Wilson, who then sold it to the American Metals Climax Mining Company, who planned to mine for copper, but then was bought by the Richard King Mellon Foundation and Conservation, who donated to the public, according to the USDA website. Until in 1992, to the present day, the Shoshone National Forest manages the land. Amelia Earhart planned to live out her retirement with her husband, George Putnam, in the cabin after she completed her trip around the world, as mentioned by the news website KULR8.com. The cabin in Meeteetse was never finished, since a year later, Amelia Earhart disappeared across the Atlantic Ocean, according to the Casper Star Tribune article, Amelia Earhart's Corner of Wyoming, by Margaret Mattray. However, you can see parts of the cabin on Google Maps. One of the historical thieves that traveled through Meeteetse was the outlaw Bronco Nell, a blue-eyed and dark gray streaked-haired 30-year-old woman who was known as the best freighter, which meant that she was the best in transporting goods, according to the article Meeteetse Freighter Turned Horse Thief by Buzzy Hazarick from the magazine Cody Country Legends. Specifically, she would deliver goods to Meeteetse Mercantile. She was also known to steal horses and illegally distribute alcohol. The Meeteetse Museum offers historical information about the town of Kirwin and Carl Dunrud at 1947 State Street, Meeteetse, Wyoming. Our next attraction takes us behind the haunted walls of the First State Penitentiary in Wyoming, known today as the Wyoming Frontier Prison Museum, located at 500 West Walnut Street, Rawlins, Wyoming. Built in 1888, the castle-like prison did not open until 1901 because of weather conditions and funding issues, according to the Wyoming Frontier Prison Museum website. Besides the prison cells, there was also a broom factory at one point, before it was burned down, a shirt factory, and a woolen mill. Inside the prison walls, there were 104 cells, lined up next to each other, facing a brick wall. There was no electricity, no running water, and only some heating. From 1901 until 1981, when the prison officially closed, there was 13,500 people, including 11 women, locked up in the prison. From 1904 until 1950, there were additional cells built to help with the overcrowdings, while the running water was not added until 28 years later, according to the Wyoming Frontier Prison website. This next part might seem a little bit disturbing. Fair warning. The way the prison punished its inmates included placing them in a dungeon, different versions of solitary confinement, and handcuffing the prisoners while they were beaten by rubber hoses. What makes the prison haunted are the ghosts from the inmates who were executed in the death house, as mentioned by the Guide to Travel magazine website. The inmates were placed in a death house building when they were on death row, where after 1936, to replace hanging the prisoners in the death house, they built a gas chamber. Today, the prison is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. The Wyoming Frontier Prison Museums offers tours even for October. The prison can be seen in the 1987 movie Prison, directed by Rennie Harlin, which is about a spirit of a prisoner that haunts the prison's new governor, as mentioned by the IMDb website. Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and to listening to Season 1 of Uncovering the Corners of the World podcast. Be on the lookout for Season 2, where we will continue with Wyoming attractions and share maybe some winter hidden attractions from other places in the United States and around the world.